Thank you guys for joining me tonight for my second edition of Travel Talk Tuesday. Boy, I'm just getting sick and tired of staying here at home and not getting to travel hardly anywhere this entire year. Charlotte and I have been lamenting all week long that where we were supposed to be these last few days. And we were supposed to be on our Christmas markets tour to the traditional Germany and Austria Christmas markets. And today, I believe we would have been gone to Innsbruck and then to Reutte, a little town in the Tyrol area of Austria in the far western part, and stay with my friend Herman at his B&B there. And I think the weather's beautiful there today. I looked it up and it looked like there was some snow in the area and the mountains and everything else. But hey, we're here and we can talk a little bit about travel. So I appreciate you guys joining on. Let me just tell you a little bit about how this is going to go. I've got about, maybe 45 minutes planned. You certainly are welcome to chip in and join and chip into the conversation anytime you'd like to. But I have the first segment that we have is with my tour guide friends, Annie Adair and Francesco Gronchi. And they both live in Volterra. They're married, and they have helped me out with many tours over the past 16, 17 years. And so the segment I want to play for you first to kind of you guys to get into the swing of things here is with them talking with me. It was recorded earlier this morning. Before I start that, I just want to share with you my little hors d'oeuvre plate here, which has got some traditional salami and cheeses, all from the Tuscany region, prosciutto, and from the Tuscany region. And I'm also drinking a particular type of wine that comes from the region of Tuscany as well, not Volterra, but further afield. Probably the most famous wine, if I can figure out how to turn that, the most famous wine, the Brunello di Montalcino. And Francesco will talk a little bit about that as well. And I've got some asparagus cooking in the oven right now, and that'll come into play with the conversation we have with Annie and Francesco. So for the moment, let's move on, and then I'll play that video. Let me get my screen sharing. And here we go.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining in again tonight. I have as my guest Annie and Francesco. They live.
That's all working okay, everybody?
How are y'all doing? And they're going to be with us. They're going to be with us here for a few minutes, talking about Volterra and some of the wine that's produced in Tuscany as well. So I guess the first thing, Annie, is can you just give us a little intro, both of you, about Volterra and what's so important about the town there on the hill in Tuscany?
Well, Volterra has been my home for the past 22 years, and I consider it a pretty unique and special place, not only because I met my husband there, Francesco's a native, but it's Tuscany's oldest continuously inhabited city. So it's been lived in for well over 3,000 years, and yet today it's a small town. So it's like 10,000 inhabitants, really easy life. There's basically no crime, no worries. So you're in that like really easy, calm, tranquil present day, but with layers that go back to the Middle Ages, to the Roman times, to the Etruscans. And so it's a really cool place to discover all the various periods of Tuscan and Italian history, but without the traffic and the kind of what can be the distractions of modern life that you often find in many of the other main tourist destinations.
Right. Well, I first discovered Volterra because I ran across, 16 years ago, your blog, Tuscan Tour, and promoting some weddings and whatnot. And I happened to be traveling around Tuscany, and we were doing a little filming. And so I think I connected with you, and we came and visited both of you for a couple of days with myself and 3 or 4 other people that were on the trip as well, and had a great time. And that was my first introduction to Volterra and to you guys, along with several other characters we've met and kept up with in Volterra, and especially the bar there, La Vena di Vino, and all the fun we had there that night. It was great. It's just lasting memories that have kept going year after year after year. And I can attest to the fact that Volterra, again, is probably my favorite city, a little town, hill town, I guess I should say, and all of Italy. We just made great connections there, and it's just a beautiful place. I understand just recently that a Roman Colosseum was discovered nearby.
Yes, there's big news in Volterra. Actually, the archaeologists working on the project say, in their opinion, it's the archaeological find of this century for Italy. And that's because Colosseums, amphitheaters as they're called, they usually don't disappear easily. They're really big structures, these arenas. And so over the course of Europe's history, whether in France, Spain, and Italy, you've usually had these structures kind of transformed or just sitting there, and maybe they reused some stones or they transformed into homes. But the thing that's really unusual about Volterra is around the year 1000, it seems this amphitheater just kind of disappeared. It was covered by a landslide, most probably. And so this is the very first Roman amphitheater where archaeologists can go and excavate with modern technology without the interference of all of us curious people interfering with it, for the past centuries. So it's not perfectly intact like Rome's Colosseum, but they're finding a lot of interesting details and intact underground walkways and the drainage systems that they've never really been able to see in that way before. So the dig is on hold for the winter, but they hope that they will most likely continue again in the spring. And they're bringing in really the foremost Italian archaeologists and scientists on this project that's making waves throughout Europe and the world right now.
Great. And I guess eventually, several years down the road, it may be open for people to go in and take a look at what's going on and see what remains of it.
Absolutely. And we're really lucky that the head archaeologist working on the project, Elena Sorge, she actually is trying to find the funding right now to make sure that they can have a visitor center even before they're done.
Oh, wow.
She wants to bring in a visitor center and make it accessible to the public so people can see not only the finished excavation, but how they're doing it, and people can follow the progress as it goes along.
So for those of you, or for those people who are watching that have been to Volterra, where is this Colosseum in relation to the hilltop city or the walled city that we know today?
Well, if you're looking on Google Maps, the easiest way to find it is to know it's immediately across the street and just slightly down the hill from the cemetery in Volterra. But if you're thinking of being inside the walled city of Volterra, right, with these medieval walls, there's a gate called Porta Fiorentina that just to the left has the Roman theater of Volterra,
right.
So where the Romans went to watch plays. And we've known about that for a long time, and it was excavated in the 1950s and 60s. So if you've been to Volterra, you've most likely seen our theater.
Right.
But if you keep the theater to your left and you walk out of the city gates, you go straight down a road, there's a couple turns in the road, and then after like 500 yards, you get to the cemetery on your left, and beneath a field, lying hidden, forgotten for centuries, is now this amphitheater that's emerging. So the theater, which you may have seen if you come to Volterra, where they do plays, the amphitheater, the Colosseum, this is where the Volterrans in Roman times went to see the gladiators, the wild animals, the public executions, and basically all that blood and guts entertainment.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to check that out when we are able to return to Volterra. I also understand that Volterra is in the contention for Italy's capital of culture for 2020. Is that correct? Yeah.
2022, it'll be.
2022, sorry.
Yeah, time is flying by.
Yeah.
So yes, just recently in November of 2020, Volterra was nominated as one of the 10 finalists to be Italy's culture capital for 2022. So we'll know in late January of 2021 if it's the winner, but I think it has really good chances, because if you look at the other 9 finalists together with Volterra, they're all beautiful, interesting towns, but none of them, in my opinion, has the depth and the many layers of history and culture that Volterra has.
Right.
And also the recent discovery of the amphitheater probably will help a lot.
Yes, I would think so. And is that supposed to bring in quite a few more visitors than even Italian visitors or local European visitors?
It will definitely bring the spotlight on Volterra.
Okay.
Volterra has always been known as kind of the connoisseur's town, the place where people in the know go. It's not your standard tourist, you must go place, or dare I say tourist trap. So Volterra's always been a little bit off the beaten track. And I think, so yes, I think the spotlight will be brought on Volterra, whether it's, just a finalist or is even the winner. But, there's something that kind of saves Volterra from too many people coming, and it's not easy to get here. It's not really hard, but it's just a little bit harder to get here than other places. Like there's, 20 minutes of winding roads to get here. They're beautiful countryside, the Tuscan countryside that you see on the way. But it's not something the big buses necessarily, or the cruise ships. It's not an easy destination. There's places that are a little bit easier than Volterra. And at the end of the day, I think while Volterra will be considered more important and more interesting of a destination, I don't think it's ever going to become overcome by mass tourism.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned just a moment ago about off the beaten track, and that's one thing that we're looking for our future tours, is to get away from Venice, Florence, and Rome, and some of the must-see destinations, and go to different places. And can you tell us about some of your favorite off the beaten track places there in Tuscany?
Absolutely. And actually, I want to tie in to what you were saying before, because I remember very well when we first met in Volterra, and we created a bond and a human connection that lasts a lifetime.
Sure.
And I think places like Volterra, or off the beaten track places where, Francesco and I and our family travel, tend to be the places where that kind of foster human connections with the people there. And that's, while you have so many important sites in Venice and Florence and Rome, and they are totally worth it, but you never have those, or rarely have those opportunities to make the human connections with the local people like you do in the smaller places. So to get back to your question, I think southern Tuscany is a part of the region that is just waiting to be discovered. There's so many places. Francesco knows a lot of them better than me, but from Pitigliano, which is a small cliffside medieval town that also had an Etruscan town, and there's all these kind of roads that the Etruscans excavated in the rocks. You're like walking on these streets with like huge stone walls on either side. It's magical. And it's a place, and there are places that the people there are so unaccustomed to see tourists, that the welcome they give you is so genuine and so heartfelt that it's something that is hard to forget. Bagno Vignoni, I also think, is a really special place that people know about, but it's really not, I guess for its own good, it's not too well known. So Bagno Vignoni is really close to 3 other towns people often go to in Tuscany, which is Pienza, Montepulciano, and Montalcino, okay? But Bagno Vignoni is just a little bit, maybe 15 minutes to the south of them, and they're thermal baths in the setting of a medieval village with ancient Roman thermal baths just to the side. And it's one of those places where you can really kind of restore your mind, body and soul all together in the context of a unique, historic Italian place.
Yeah, yeah. I've, believe it or not, been there. I didn't take a bath, but we were there one cold morning and the steam was rising up off the baths and it was just a beautiful sight. Yeah. And one of the things that really connected Francesco and Annie and the other folks that were with us the very first time I went to Volterra is we'll never forget going out and hunting wild asparagus. And that I'm cooking some asparagus on my menu tonight. So we'll have a white and green asparagus. It's not wild, but that was such a great event that we did the time we had there. I'll never forget it.
That was probably some of the funnest asparagus hunting we've ever done.
Oh yeah, I bet. Well, tell us a little bit about, now we've gone to whining and dining, so we're going to have some asparagus, but maybe some salami and that too. But we're going to break out some Brunello. So tell us a little bit about that, Francesco.
Well, first of all, good for you that you have Brunello tonight.
Yeah.
And with some, because I still to think that are much better than asparagus.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But anyway, Brunello is probably one of the most important wines that you can find in Europe. And for sure, the most important one that you can find in Tuscany. And this for many reasons, for historical reasons, for geological reasons. The land, the fantastic area where the Sangiovese grow with incredibly characteristics, that is the hill of Montalcino. When you are in Montalcino, you find many different kinds of soil, exposition, microclimate, and all of these things together make the Brunello with that is becoming more and more with the years after year the expression of the territory of Montalcino. You know, there are many rules about the production of Brunello. The most important is that Brunello must be made with Sangiovese grape. That in Montalcino take the name of Brunello. So Brunello is actually the name that the people of Montalcino give to the Sangiovese grape.
So, and the Sangiovese, that grows all over Tuscany. The Sangiovese.
Sangiovese grow everywhere in Tuscany. There are many kinds of Sangiovese. Mm-hmm. The three most important areas for the production of Sangiovese are Montalcino, Montepulciano with the Nobile, and the Chianti area.
Okay.
And in Spain, how the name of this great change, no, we already said that in Montalcino is called Brunello, in Montepulciano is called Prugnolo gentile, gentle prune. In the Chianti is called Sangioveto. And this doesn't mean that the grape is different, it's exactly the same stuff. It's just a local name.
I learn something new every time I talk with you.
But another important rule about the Brunello di Montalcino for the production is related actually with the technique of production. And the Brunello di Montalcino, after the fermentation, must be aged minimum 24 months in some kind of oak barrel.
Okay.
And,
from the time the grapes are picked until we actually get it in a bottle to drink, it's more than 24 months, or?
Well, it's the wine can be put on the market the 5th year after the harvest.
Okay.
So
I know that some of the folks that are watching tonight have probably experienced the wine tasting with Francesco there in Volterra that we do. And the last wine that we always have is Brunello on that. And it's, by all accounts, it's the best of the 4 wines that we usually taste there. So we're going to, hopefully that some of these people that are watching tonight will be able to open a bottle too, along with me. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, We enjoyed learning about the Brunello wine and tasting it as well. How you want to wrap this up? You guys got any other things you want to bring up?
I don't know. Do you have any idea?
So I'm going to pause the video right here for just a moment because we're going to wrap it up with Annie and Francesco and go right into some filming we did right there in the town of Volterra, some pretty much semi-professional or professional filming we did some years back. But I wanted to give you guys a chance to chip in if you have anything at the moment to contribute. I know I saw a few of you join that have already been to Volterra. I know Mark, I don't know if you've been on one of my tours, but you said you've been to Volterra. Is this pretty much in line with what you experienced in the town of Volterra?
Funny you say that. We've actually had a 4-hour walking tour with Annie.
Okay.
And we did a wine tasting in Francesco's place when we were in Volterra.
All right. Well, it's a small town, so it doesn't take long to get acquainted with the best people in town to help you out. And the place Francesco usually has a wine tasting is in a bar that we talked about called La Vena di Vino, is the vein of wine. And you saw some photos that were published earlier in this talk that was from that wine tasting in the cellar, or either way back in the day when I was there with, when I was, a few decades younger, or maybe 16, 17 years younger, and us partying it up and singing karaoke in that little bar called La Vena di Vino. I think I saw several of you, maybe, I think I saw Marie join on that. It was one of the original travelers to Volterra with me back in, I don't know if it was 2005, 6 or 7, but whenever it was when we were first there. We had a great time and a wonderful experience. How about any others? Have any other you been to Volterra? Well, if not, you need to go because it's a great place.
Yes, I've been there with you, David.
Oh, hey, Gloria.
Yeah, hi. Yeah,
Yes.
and the wine tasting with Francesco, and yeah, I love Volterra.
Yeah, I think we had, now that I see you there, Gloria, I think we had a wild night at La Vena di Vino later on as well after dinner.
Fantastic night.
It was a wonderful night. I'll never forget it. And then we had to drive on the bus all the way to France the next day. So I do recall that. But yeah, what a great experience.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna push play and let Annie and Francesco finish up, and then it's going to go right into recording that we made some years back about visiting Volterra. It's about a 6-minute thing, and then we'll wrap it up and chat about our experiences and how you can go there in the future.
I would just, I guess we could say, this has been an unusual year for everybody. And I think looking at the glass being half full, one of the things I've learned from taking it a lot slower and traveling less, if not at all, in 2020 is how much it means to me to not only travel myself, but also for us to be able to interact with and have visitors like your friends and clients who've come over the years. It's something we really miss, and that human interaction, I think, is something we'll cherish even more in the future. So I hope that this will be a good but different holiday season for everyone. A moment of hopefully peaceful reflection, and hope for a brighter future. And in Italy, on today is December 8th, and this is it's a national holiday that kicks off the holiday season. We don't have Thanksgiving here. We celebrated it this year. We did it with a chicken, but that's okay. We'll hopefully be forgiven. But so yeah, the December 8th is when people start putting up their Christmas lights and putting up your creche, your nativity figures, your Christmas trees. And so I'm glad we were able to speak together today on this day that kicks off the holiday season.
Fantastic. Yeah. So it's a religious holiday, but it's also a holiday that people take off to decorate and to just really kick in the Christmas holiday
That's
season.
right. That's right.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Getting in the season.
Yeah. Well,
And it's when we start to uncork the good wines too.
That's right. See, David, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Wait,
It's the perfect
Salute.
day for Brunello.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, let's officially wrap this up by let me say thank you guys for joining in today. It's the middle of the afternoon for you. It's in the morning for us, but we're just having a great time, and it's great. This technology allows us to catch up, talk about travel, talk about our friendships, and remember experiences that we've had together. And just want to wish you guys as well Merry Christmas. What? Buona Natale? Yeah.
Bravo.
Buon Natale.
And hope that everything works out the next few weeks, and you guys have a great holiday season.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, Francesco, Annie. Thank you. Bye now. Of all the places in Tuscany, I always migrate back to Volterra, and it holds a special place in my heart for a destination to take people to that is off the beaten path, yet central to a lot of places within Tuscany. On all the trips that I offer in Europe, I pretty much have the same goal, and that is to provide those who travel with me with a unique peek into the culture, the art, and the history of our destinations. In Volterra, I use a young lady named Annie and she has been a personal friend of mine for close, maybe 15 or more years now. So Annie is an American transplanted from Washington, D.C. She went there as a student and decided to live there, and is a fantastic guide. Is so very passionate about the town of Volterra and actually the entire area of Tuscany.
You know, this is Tuscany's oldest continuously inhabited town. So history in a place like this really does tend to come alive. There's a considerable Tuscan influence on Rome as it starts to grow, and their friendly neighbors, until 396 BC. This is the year the Roman army starts their expansion northward. They hit the southernmost Etruscan city-state called Veio, and they annihilate it. They say there wasn't a thing or a person left of them. So meanwhile in Volterra, they are probably flanking their gods. They were the farthest city-state north, and preparing their defenses. So in the early 4th century BC, Volterra builds itself a 4.5-mile perimeter walls around the city. But what I'm walking you down this hill to see is the one remaining gate we have from that 4th century BC, a Tuscan wall. And the Romans tell us they invented this arch in the early 3rd century BC, which is about a century after these walls were built. So did the Etruscans have a more primitive form of opening, and the Romans, after they'll eventually take control of Volterra around 260 BC, they added in their arches? Or are the arches original to the Etruscan structure? Well, recent studies would say they're original to the Etruscan structure, and what that means is these would be the oldest known fully rounded arch. And we're not going to walk underneath them.
Hey, Byron and Laura.
Annie Adair is the perfect guide for Tuscany.
Alabaster. We talk a lot about alabaster in Volterra because until they started to find alabaster in Spain in the early 1900s, Volterra had been Europe's only known constant source of white sculpture-grade alabaster for the course of its history. Giorgio! Ciao!
Giorgio is going to make a bowl from this piece that they've already pre-formed. And this is how that many of the bowls on the shelves are taken care of and formed. Personally, for me, I find it very difficult to find a wine in Italy that I don't like.
Ciao, buonasera. Ciao. Tutto bene? Sì. Good evening, everybody. Hi. A very small group, so please, if you have questions, ask me. It's much more fun if we talk.
I've met 3 sommeliers in Italy. 2 of them are good friends of mine. And so they have a specific way in which they say that you should experience the wine.
The most important things, yes. What? To taste.
The way that we think of a lot is to smell the wine. But for most of the Italian sommeliers, they say smelling doesn't work so well because we humans have 4 noses.
And usually, yes, you know. Also, human nose doesn't work. Is why I think that we have to help our nose try to understand the possibility of this smell. And to do this, we have to use our eyes.
So we have good eyes, so we can look at the wine and talk about and think about the color and the viscosity of the wine.
When you see wine like this, then at the beginning they move fast, but stop to move really fast too. You see, it's not move for a very long time. Boom! Probably the body is important.
We had 4 different wines. We had a white wine from the village of San Gimignano, which was fantastic white wine. And then we had a Chianti Classico, a super Tuscan wine. Then we had Brunello, which was the last wine. And by far, with everyone who has tasted wine with me. Okay, I'm pausing right here because Charlotte's just walked into the room and she's laughing at my pronunciation of San Gimignano. No. And so she's going to come over here and tell us how to really say it. Because, you know, I can speak Italian all the time and mess it up and I don't care. But she never speaks it, but corrects me all the time. How do you say it, Charlotte?
San Gimignano.
Okay, let me try it. San Gimignano. Is that better?
Better.
Okay. We're almost finished, and then we'll chat with you a little bit after we finish up here. Brunello was the go-to wine for them. So I have a journal that I keep. I try to, when we go through Tuscany, devote 1 page to tasting wine tastings and what I enjoyed and what was good. So I try to take notes and learn something new all the time. Add something to my knowledge of that, so I can pass it on to those who travel with me.
Be careful with the other notes.
Once you experience a wine tasting with Francesco there in Volterra, every time since that, everyone starts looking at the wine, tipping the glass, looking at the wine. What color is it? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Everyone is more educated on tasting wine.
Bye.
I love to eat, and at home, Charlotte, my wife, calls me a European snob because nothing in the United States matches any dining experience that I ever can have here in Europe. Ristorante Enoteca del Duca is my standard for dining in Europe. Genuino and Ivana, the owners of this restaurant, along with daughter Claudia, I've known since the time I've known the tour guide there, Annie and Francesco. I can't say enough about the Del Duca family and why they're very meaningful to my love for Tuscany and my experiences that I try to share with those who travel with me in Tuscany.
Nice to see you all. Hope you will enjoy the meal, and I'll be here around, and probably my father is coming later on because yesterday we finished with the Sangiovese harvest.
Okay.
So he's very busy in the wine cellar.
So this is special homemade pasta by the chef Ivan in here. He does it every day, rolls it out and cuts it by hand. And the cingane sauce is pappardelle pasta and cingane sauce, wild boar sauce. Now, they do it differently than most places because they want you to have the full taste of the wild boar. Many places put in tomato sauce, but not here. You have the full flavor of wild boar. So, bon appetito. You need to experience having a meal with me on my tours because that is so very important for the entire travel experience, is to experience the cuisine of the area, the wine of the area, and the ambiance of the area. And that's what I think makes traveling with me so much different than anyone else. We've had a fantastic dining experience here tonight at Ristorante del Duca in Volterra, my favorite go-to place in all of Europe, actually all the world. So we're finishing up with a chocolate cake. So your adventure starts here with David McGuffins exploring Europe here in Volterra. The chocolate cake. That is divine. Salute. Okay, so now are we all back to normal? Have I quit sharing my screen? I'm not sure. Mark, I see a chat there. You said fantastic memories. You were there. And then after watching this segment of it, I hope it also gives you some more recollection of the entire town.
So David, what are your plans? I mean, are we still just waiting?
Yeah, so as I've just been month by month postponing tours until we finally get to December, and back in the end of October I canceled the tours for December. So really, Gloria, we are just kind of waiting to see what happens. In talking with Annie and Francesco this morning, Tuscany has been a really hot spot for the COVID-19 virus the last few weeks. But thankfully, they brought the hospitalization numbers down and death rate down, and so they can be in the yellow zone now, and that means they can get out and travel farther away. And but still, like the restaurants you just saw that Claudia and her parents own, that is closed, and they're only doing takeout. And they're doing some sort of a little bento box type thing that features either a meat box or a fish box. And that's all those restaurants in Volterra are in the same situation. Nobody's coming to tour there, so it's just the locals. And that's the way it is throughout most of Tuscany. So I'm hoping, for exploring Europe, that hopefully by May of 2021, things will be progressing a little bit further toward normal, or at least how they were in 2019, and that we can take some small groups. I'm just not very interested in taking any groups to anywhere in Europe. If we have to go fully masked and the museums are closed and we can't go into restaurants, And so there's no sense in even doing a tour with that. But once those begin to open up, we hope that we can do that. And I have a tour plan to Volterra for what we call the Tuscan Villa Tour in the latter part of May. And talking with the folks there, which we'll share on another evening, we're hoping that that's going to work. We've got about 6 people signed up for it at the moment. And so I just hope that will happen. So we're not looking for January, February, March, or even April, but we're hoping by the time the vaccine kicks in and it goes to the other parts of the world that perhaps travel will open up for us.